into New York. Yo, into New York. Yo, into New York. To New York, to New York. With the yo, into New York. Yo, into New York. Yo, into New York. To New York, to New York.
And welcome to Crash Chords Autographs. In episode 8, Matt had the pleasure of speaking with kHill of the two-piece rap group The ThoughtCriminals. That other piece is here today, and he goes by the name of Sulfur. Like kHill, Sulfur also has a budding solo career. Keeping the tradition of Nerdcore alive, he touts his new EP, Enter the 36th Chamber, a work that entirely concerns the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He also discusses his love of gaming and forecasts a full-length release due to come out later this year. So now, here we present Matt Storm and Sulfur.
This is Sulfur. This is Matt.
This is Matt. How are you, Sulfur?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. I appreciate it, bud.
It's not a problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. It's an honor to have the other half of the ThoughtCriminals on my podcast. We had Mr. Mikal on earlier. I was stoked about the new EP you guys put out a few months back.
Thanks. I'm rather stoked about it as well.
Are you guys? Do you guys have a full length for the ThoughtCriminals in the works?
In the works, for sure. kHill is slammed busy right now, so we're working on it. I had ThoughtCriminals practice today, and so I was at the kHill compound, the House of Crack, as he likes to call it, and we were running over some things for a party called the Ninja Party, the Milestone throws every year.
Nice.
But as far as actually laying the tracks down and everything, we worked a little bit, but he is mainly focusing on some other projects he has right now, some of which I'm not sure if I should talk about, but they involve people that might be known as Adam Warrock. And might be releasing this month, I think. So
excellent. Yes, I've been actually in chats with Adam to have him on as well, and he mentioned that he's working on a new thing to put out soon. So that's always exciting. Speaking of ninjas, since you brought it up, you have a brand new record out, a Ninja Turtles themed hip hop record, which I'm very excited about to talk about.
Awesome.
So obviously you're a Ninja Turtles fan, comic books. I know you've mentioned Laird before, and obviously the cartoon, since you did a song with one of my favorites, Tribe One, about Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh yeah.
So how did the idea come about for this new record? Were you always wanting to do something about Ninja Turtles, or is it just something that kind of came to you?
Actually, it was something that I had wanted to do for a really long time, and it's an idea I kind of had in the back of my brain. Kind of ever since I had done Odin's Son about roughly a year earlier, and I had kind of done that play on taking instrumentals totally from a solitary work from a different, rap group or persona. In that case was Nas, and creating something different with it. Kind of with a humorous spin maybe on the title or the nuts and bolts of the album itself. So when I was finishing up Odin's Son, I had the idea then. And the reason I never launched into it is I had to wait for the right moment. Because it was almost like some people look at, like, for instance, Michael Kill's one of his favorite groups is the Beatles, and he started to work over some things that sampled the Beatles once, and I think it was a little bit of not a strain for him, but it's you're working over one of your favorite groups, and so it's not intimidating exactly, but you have to make sure it's done right, and that's kind of how it was for me with Enter the 36th Chamber, where I'm taking one of my favorite comic books, and my favorite comic book, absolutely, and putting it over some of my favorite instrumentals, or one of my favorite albums, and honestly, a lot of hip-hop heads' favorite, albums in the Wu-Tang releases. So there was a little bit where it was hard to approach, and I just had to wait for that right moment. And honestly, most of my parts for that album I wrote within 3 or 4 days in a quick burst. It just hit me, and I was ready, and I put pretty much most of it down right before me and Michael went on a little short tour last month in December, and I was really lucky to get Tribe on it. He originally was not supposed to be on it, and I had to beg him at a show and say, look, man, you're Rocksteady. Like, you had the voice. You're perfect for it. And he came through and murdered it, just absolutely murdered it. So
that
real happy about it.
That answers my follow-up question, because I was going to ask how you and Tribe hooked up for that song, but you've just explained by groveling, and hey, it works. So, and the track is great. The funny thing about you saying that he sounds just like Rocksteady, is when I was listening to that song, listening to the lyrics, and listening to just the presentation of you as Bebop and him as Rocksteady. Both of you, your voices are just so close to those characters from the cartoon. I'm like, damn, it's like I'm watching the cartoon. This is awesome.
Oh man, I love it so much. I wish you didn't start off on Ninja Turtles, because that's probably all this interview will be about. I'm gonna split you.
That's funny. That's like when I interviewed Christy B about a month ago, and she brought up Scott Pilgrim, and then like we had a half-hour divergence on Scott Pilgrim, and it just couldn't rein it back in. Honestly, actually, one of my favorite tracks from one of your earlier works is with Tribe One as well, Welcome to the Kingdom, where you both play a role from Super Mario Brothers and actually sample quotes from one of my favorite cartoons from my childhood.
Of course. The Super Show. You gotta love that.
With Captain Lou Albano and that other guy.
And the poor other guy. Nobody ever remembers that guy's name.
Nope.
I wish I did, so I could prove you wrong, but I don't.
You don't, exactly. You're proving my point. But yeah, I mean, what I thought was really cool about the theme records that you've done, like Odin's Son and Enter the 36th Chamber, is you use quotes, but not in a way to really throw off the flow of the record. It really kind of ties a narrative together, which is important when you're creating a themed work. And
totally.
And what I really liked about Odin's Son, besides the fact that Thor Thorberson, who I've talked about before with Mr. Kill about his record artwork, did the Thor Records artwork is like meta on so many levels.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
But what I like is you take really powerful quotes from that movie, which is a fantastic movie, and use it to level and make sure and like really add an impact to those songs beyond just the music and the lyrics. You're giving a kind of theatricality to it too, which is really cool.
Oh, thank you, absolutely. And I'm going to kind of give myself away here. I shouldn't, I suppose. I'm a bad magician. But somebody made a comment when I posted them in the 36th Chamber on Reddit, and they were talking about how Wu uses a lot of Kung Fu samples for movies between their songs, and they said, I really like how this guy uses, Ninja Turtle clips instead of Kung Fu samples like Wu would use. He's emulating that. And I was more doing what you just laid out, kind of a carryover from Odin's Son, and kind of going for that same, kind of glue to hold everything together. And I really enjoyed that, and I like doing that. And that's more what I was going for. But when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, yes, totally what I was doing, absolutely. Going back on Reddit, I'm glad you caught that. You're very perceptive.
I love when other people make you sound smarter than you ever thought you would ever sound. That's always fun when people point that out.
Exactly. And you just got to take the compliment, of course. Just you poker face it, and yes, I meant to do that. I'm glad you noticed. No, but I really, I like doing that. I like doing that maybe a little more than I should. I'm really notorious for just talking all over intros, and I got to go back in and go, I got to edit this out really quick. And actually, my first Serious Face mixtape, I didn't as much. And so when I went back listening to it recently, I'm like, man, I talk over every intro on this mixtape here. So, but I really enjoy the movie clips, and I really enjoy how they breathe a certain type of life into those. Kind of glue it together a little bit. So I'm looking forward with my next to do similar things, but on original content, not based off of Ninja Turtles or Thor.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely very cool. What I also like about the new record is that the content of the songs, I mean, even though you're in a lot of the songs stepping into a character of one of the Ninja Turtles or one of the bad guys, you're still connecting to real life stuff. Like when I saw you post on Twitter, because I follow you on Twitter, your interaction with Andrew WK about using his name in one of your songs. And how psyched you were that he was psyched. And I, as a fan of both you and Andrew WK, was like, this is amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was cool. He took the time to write me an awesome in all caps back, and I like Andrew WK. I mean, he is basically like Yoda if Yoda drank a ton of PBRs. He's a really wise person. I really love reading his the Village Voice that he writes a column in.
Yes.
I know it starts with Village. Yeah,
I think it's the Village Voice. Yeah.
I think it is. It's inspiring. It is nothing less than inspiring. I read it every time I see one posted. I love that dude. So yeah, that made me feel good, and I like shouting him out. I couldn't write a song about any kind of party without shouting out Andrew.
Well, because he's like the modern party guru, so
He is. But Michelangelo
also party guru.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So I could see those two actually kicking it somewhere out there.
Absolutely.
In my imagination, probably. But.
Well, it's like also one of those things with him is, so I obviously have a podcast and I listen to a lot of podcasts. And one of the podcasts I listen to a lot is The Nerdist, and he was a guest on it ages ago.
Oh, cool.
And if you can ever find it, check out the Andrew WK Nerdist podcast episode, because all of that you're talking about that he does in The Village Voice, he also talks on this podcast, and he's full of so much wisdom for a dude who wears the same white t-shirt every day. He knows a lot, and is really actually very concerned with helping his fans, the community, and it's really inspiring to see an artist do that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his empathy and his empathetic nature that you can you can tell he cares about people in a general sense. He cares about humans, and that in and of itself is inspiring. You don't see it. I'm not saying you don't see it too often. I do see it, and I'm blessed to see friends and family around me. But at the same time, you very often don't see it with a lot of people, and I don't know. It's not frustrating. It's just disheartening, I suppose.
Yeah, totally.
People have their own agendas, and we just focus on that, and we don't focus on anybody else or anything else. And that's not the way to be. So
yeah. Well, that's why, I think I gravitated towards nerdcore hip hop more. I've always listened to rap since I was a kid, but as soon as I discovered my intro drug, which was MC Frontalot, which is a lot of people's intro drug, you can relate to these people who are singing about real stuff and rapping about real stuff, and besides just the video games and the pop culture references, Schaefer, Front, Doc Awkward, a ton of people. I mean, you even have done on your records, you rap about real stuff too that's affected you, and that's what I think really brings people in, because you can connect and identify with that artist on a personal level, and that's important, I think, when listening to music.
Oh, absolutely. And Nerdcore has a camaraderie between its artists and between its fans, honestly, on two different levels. That I don't feel like is very often matched anywhere else in any other music. Back when we had Nerdapalooza, you have Orlando Nerdfest, you got these big festivals, even South by Southwest, and there's Nerdcore showcases. It's like a sea of family. It's not like a sea of fans that are all disjointed from one another. One person can look across the room at another total stranger and throw a smile, and they'll go over and give a dap and talk about whatever, Firefly. There's a lot of shared interest there. There's a lot of just, it's just that being passionate about the same things, and it really brings us together, and that's kind of the beauty of Nerdcore in general. And I love it. I'm really glad I discovered it. It discovered me, whichever you want to call it.
Sure. And my next question is actually how you got your start with rap. Was rap always the venue of which you wanted to do music for, or did you kind of discover that later?
When I first started wanting to do music, I probably was not looking to rap, actually. And it's funny because the first music I really enjoyed on my own was rap music. My cousin introduced me to rap music when I was about 6 or 7 years old, maybe a little older, maybe like 7 or 8. But he introduced me to rap music, and it was the first music that broke away from anything my mom was listening to, or just happened to be on the radio or anything like that. It had this element of taboo, because I know they were saying stuff I wasn't supposed to hear. So of course I loved it.
Right.
And I grew up with that, and I really enjoyed it. But by the time I hit about 14, 15, I was listening to a lot of rock, and rock probably is about 60-40. It kind of won out over rap. So the first instrument I ever had, like most white males, I had a guitar, you know, and I learned guitar off the internet. I went to Jimi Hendrix's webpage and learned the Star Spangled Banner from Tab, and continued playing guitar for years, and really enjoyed it. And so for a while there, I definitely was like, oh, I'm going to be a rock star. It's going to be great. And to be honest, in the back of my head the whole time, I was like, I really actually want to be a vocalist, but I just don't have the cojones there to say I want to be a vocalist because I don't think I can sing. Truth is, I still can't sing. But, you know, rap kind of resurfaced because I was rapping along with a lot of songs in middle school and high school, and I started to have friends point out to me, like, you should rap. Like, what are you doing? You should rap. And the more that kind of sunk in my brain, the more the confidence came in there. I was like, yeah, that might be, I can't sing, but I could probably rap, you know. And I started writing my own lyrics, and it was very natural for me. It's like I grew up on it, and I loved it, and there it was. Here I am. So
excellent.
Yes.
The next question, which is always kind of a big question to ask artists, but I'm always curious where their influences are because sometimes it surprises you. Is there a specific rapper who really influenced your style and your sound, or did your heavy music influences come from somewhere else?
Oh man, no. Yeah, that is a really broad question. Well, I could give you several answers, really. Like I was just saying, like some of the first rap I really enjoyed was West Coast. Was a lot of what, you know, my cousin played for me. I grew up really enjoying like Ice-T,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and some stuff like that. But as far as directly influencing me in rap, by the time I started to write lyrics and started to rap, I feel like people with an interesting voice always kind of caught my ear. Del, I really, you know, Deltron 3030,
Sure.
Love or Hate Del Now is such a classic hip-hop album, and, you know, stuff like that I really gravitated hard towards. I would say in the Nerdcore genre, MC Frontalot has a very interesting inflection in voice, and that grabs me. Even some rappers that I can appreciate and respect. I would say I don't listen to them a whole lot, but Brother Ali from Rhymesayers, he sounds like a preacher when he raps.
Sure.
You know? And that street preacher kind of, you know, sound, that inflection grabs me, and I like that. So, you know, I would say that shaped a lot of the way I rap. Love it or hate it, I've heard hate, you know, because I rap, it bounces around from falsetto to my normal voice, and I like to play around with it. And I'm still, to this day, still playing around with it, nailing things down, probably always will be. But, you know, those I would say influenced me directly. As far as lyrically, man, that is a really broad question.
Sure. Well, it sounds like, I mean, just from listening to your scope of music, that you're very influenced, you know, obviously by nerd culture and all the stuff that you're into. It would be a wild guess to assume that you're into video games. I'd also be cheating because we're friends on Facebook, and I know you just got a Wii U.
Of course, on credit.
On credit, because you know why afford it now when you can try and afford it later?
You got me. I've made bigger $10 payment on that thing, but I've been playing it. It's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I still haven't made that purchase yet. I haven't gotten any of the next gen stuff. I want to, but it's like I have so little free time as it is with planning a wedding and working on my website and working a full-time job. It's like I'll play like 10 hours of video games a week. So to buy a new console just hasn't really been worth it yet. But someday I will settle down and get one of the new ones. And the Wii U is at the top of my list because it's Nintendo. You know, Nintendo is almost always at the top of my list. Totally,
absolutely. And when you get one, add a boarded clone to your friends list. And
there
I'm
we
kind
go.
of intentionally throwing that out here on this podcast, just saying I need friends to beat in Smash Brothers. That's all, you know.
There you go. That's like I talk a lot of trash.
I'm terrible in Smash Brothers.
Oh, are you?
Anybody will destroy me. Yeah, I'm really bad.
Well, it's funny. I talked a lot of trash to Mikal Kill before I got Smash Brothers for the 3DS, and then I got it and we played online, and he whooped my ass. So I learned my lesson. Although, if you ever want to piss off Tribe One, talk to him about Smash Brothers. Apparently, he hates Smash Brothers. We had a whole conversation about it when he was guest.
Yeah, of course. Well, like, because he gets scolded, and that's the only reason. I don't know if you could tell by how well Tribe One raps, but Tribe One is a perfectionist.
Oh, yeah.
Top dog, which is awesome because, you know, that's what gets you there. And he just hasn't got there in Smash Brothers yet. Keep going, Tribe. You got this, son. I believe in you. I'm gonna dominate you every game.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Michael, we had this old beef in Mortal Kombat. Actually, did he mention that to you?
No, he did not. That you guys have an old beef in Mortal Kombat. Do tell.
Yeah, we have this old beef in Mortal Kombat. He got Mortal Kombat 9 for one of his birthdays, actually. And he, this is back when the ThoughtCriminals had a live band. We were going to band practice every week, and ramping up to it, I talked so much trash to that man every band practice, and it was all about. I played one of the worst characters, Nightwolf. Nobody picks Nightwolf, but I picked Nightwolf. I don't know why. It's terrible. I know. I feel bad, but I was talking so much trash to him, and Michael's guy is Raiden. And he loves Raiden. And I went over to his house for his birthday party. Now, he had Mortal Kombat 9 about a week at this point. Dude, he had to wait for the weekend for his party. And I go over there, finally sit down to play him. And he schools the entire band for 2.5 straight hours with Raiden. Doesn't choose another character, just looking at us. He's even looking at us while he's pressing the buttons and doing fatalities, It was terrible. I was so angry. I mean, if you hear the story from Michael, he'll say I threw the controller across the room and all this embellishment. I don't think I did that, but I was angry, and I bought the game the very next day. I'm like, this cannot happen again.
Nice. Well, if you guys ever come to New York on tour, we'll have to play some Mortal Kombat. I didn't know that there was an old school rivalry, but make a pit stop in Brooklyn, and we'll set it up. We'll make it happen.
Sounds excellent. Sounds like a good time.
Speaking to touring and everything, so I know that you guys did a quick and dirty tour in December, and you guys play a lot in your area. Do you have a plan to hit the East Coast again, or hit the West Coast even? Do you have any tour plans coming up, or are you kind of just settled in to work on some music?
Me personally, I'm kind of the latter, but I am going to start trying to book very shortly. I'm trying to finish up my next album. As much as my failing computer over here will allow. Started hitting some tech issues just the other day, but I really wanted to get that solid to take that on the road with me. I do know kHill is talking to Adam Warrock, and they're planning an East Coast run, and they're going to do that really soon. I'm hoping to kind of follow their wake not long thereafter and do kind of the same myself. So I am planning to get back up that way. Hopefully first quarter this year.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I always love when bands roll through and I get to see them, especially thanks to the magic of the internet, I've become pretty good friends with Tribe and Michael just through the internet, all through Steam and through all that. And it's kind of an awesome way to link up with people you respect as artists, but also get to know them as people, which has been a blast. And I'm stoked for them to come through again, because I didn't know until after the last time they left that they were Magic the Gathering players, because they did that EP. I did not know that. And so I still got my decks from high school. They haven't really been updated much, but I still got them.
Oh, man. Well, get ready, because those guys are some Magic the Gathering players. That's one thing, all of No Friends, those two, Eugene, Adam Warrock, they love Magic. Actually, I played a show early last year. I played a show with Tribe and Adam Warrock up in Baltimore, and we got there the night before. We sat in the hotel room the whole next day, and I watched them play about 8 to 9 hours of Magic, just straight up. Wow. Just playing Magic and eating pizza. And I mean, it was fun to hang out with my boys, but they love it. So, and they're competitive. I'll throw that out there as well. So.
That's what I've heard. So far, I've spoken to Michael and Tribe about it, and I'm going to bring it up to Adam when I have him on later this year. But I've heard that they are pretty competitive, and apparently Adam was late to the game and more obsessed with it than both of them.
That is absolutely true, actually. That is absolutely true. I think in the beginning it was them tugging Adam over to the table. Hey, man, you should check this out. You should play this. And now it's Adam just corralling both of them back to the table any chance he can. You gotta play another game, man. Come on, just play some more. You got this. Play one more. Come on.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe I'll learn one day. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun, but.
It is a fun game, but I feel like if it's something I had to learn now as opposed to I learned in high school, I don't know that I would have the patience for it, honestly. But because I know most of the rules and I'd been playing for so long, it's like, all right, I'll keep playing for now while I own the cards. Why not?
Gotcha. Michael bought me Magic 2013 on Steam, and I did play that a little bit, so it gave me a little, like the slightest glimmer of understanding of the game, but not really much. So that's my whole beginning and ending in Magic right there, pretty much.
Is that one game on Steam briefly?
It's that one game on Steam briefly, but all the love in the world to people that play Magic. It looks like a lot of fun, and I feel like I'm missing out, dude.
Well, and now that I'm learning that you have a Steam account means that, shortly after this podcast, I'll have to friend you on Steam. So,
absolutely.
You can hook up there, too.
Very surprisingly, that is the aborted clone.
The aborted clone, not an aborted clone, but the aborted clone.
The aborted clone. Because there was actually an aborted clone already on Steam, which is really weird. It's the first time it's ever happened. So.
Really? Wow. Yeah, that started happening to me in places. I thought I had a unique username most of my life, and then once I hit like Xbox Live late and Steam late, I was like, I couldn't get the name I used. And I was like, well, this sucks. So you have to add numbers on the end or put an underscore, the shit you got to do to.
Of course. Or the at the beginning,
Exactly. So my next question about your music is one of my favorite songs also off of Serious Space, Volume 1 was the Christmas song you did with kHill as the ThoughtCriminals. Where did the idea to do a Christmas song like that, where you guys save Christmas? Is that something you guys had talked about that you wanted to do, or was it just kind of like a random, this would be fun, let's do it?
It was definitely the random. It was not something we talked about at all. We had done one Christmas song together prior, and Michael made the beat for that, and it was on a local collaboration album that was released from a local record label called Mighty as the Sword Records, and we had that one come out way prior, and so I was actually working on Serious Space. Now, you know what? To be honest with you, it came before Serious Space. When I really think about it, it was a Christmas Eve. And I just so happened to be sitting at home. I wasn't out with family or anything. And I just woke up, and I didn't really have much to do. So I was just browsing around a folder of instrumental beats. And that's always been an amazing beat, of course, 93 Till Infinity. And, it just kind of struck. And I wrote this verse on Christmas Eve, and I sent it to Michael. And he emailed me back and said, that's amazing. And then we didn't do anything with it for almost a year.
Oh, wow.
And it just sat around for almost a year. And when I was putting together Serious Space Volume 1, I brought it back up to Michael. I was like, hey, man, you remember this song, I Flew Over Your Way? Would you be interested in actually writing another Christmas song and finishing this out? And, yeah, he did it. And man, he knocked it out of the park. It's one of my favorite ThoughtCriminals songs we've ever done. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. So we actually, on this little tour, we did it live for the first time.
Oh, cool.
And that was especially fun because Michael didn't know his verse until the last show on tour. So
nice. Well, at least he finally got it. A for effort, right?
It's a trial by fire some nights.
There you go. Burn. If you had to pick, and I know this is never easy, a favorite song, but if you have a favorite couple of songs that you prefer to perform live out of your discography, what would those be? The ones that maybe get you the most pumped, or that you like interacting with the crowd with?
For sure. One of my favorites is actually off those Serious Space mixtapes, and I kind of hate, in a way, talking about it because now I'm taking them off my Bandcamp, and I'm never gonna put them back. But right. A song called "You and Me." That is, it's kind of about Mario and Bowser again, but it's kind of a little more serious with very little references, and it was just kind of talking about like the yin and the yang of enemies and or adversaries, basically.
Sure.
One another, and I was kind of applying that to Mario, but I really enjoyed the beat, which was a Bun D beat, and I really enjoyed just the rapping over it. I liked the way it raps. So I used to open almost every show I did with that song because I liked it so much, and nobody has ever came up to me before and like, man, I really like that song. It was just 100% personal me choice, and eventually people did do that, but I wasn't sure at that point if it's because I had drilled it down their throats at every song or every show, playing that song. But I like doing that one. I really like playing off Odin's Son. I like playing Drink Ale Every Day just because it's a crowd favorite. And, when you're playing in bars a lot, it's going to be a crowd favorite. So,
well, also the quote that you coined at the beginning of that song, just because I'm Asgardian doesn't mean I can't be partying. It's just like just a wonderful rhyme on Asgardian, and it adds a lightness to that song, but it's such a fun sing-alongable song. So I can totally get that.
Absolutely. I mean, Thor is such a fun guy in the first place. I mean, easily my favorite Avenger. So male or female, I don't care. As long as they're drinking ale, it's incredible. So
there you go. We touched on video games a little bit before. As far as pastimes, when you're not touring or making music or working on rap specifically, do you have a favorite pastime? Video games, watching movies, reading.
Several. It's hard for me to watch TV and movies on my own. I love watching them with other people, but a lot of times I feel like I have an undiagnosed case of ADD, perhaps. Because if I sit down and watch a movie long enough, I will not watch a movie. I will be doing 5 other things while the movie is playing in the room.
Right.
Usually I'll be faced the other way for the last half. But I enjoy lockpicking, which has bled into my music and my stage act a lot in the past couple of years. Which Eddie of Dualcore taught me several years ago on tour. And now every time I go on tour, I take a big sack of padlocks with me, just as like road games. It's a lot of fun. You can still carry a conversation with somebody and look directly at them, and you're occupied in the back of your brain picking a lock or doing whatever. So I really enjoy lock picking. I enjoy learning in general, just new things. I really believe in getting on YouTube once a week at least, and learning something you always wanted to learn that you never took the time to do. That philosophy has led me into breaking out the straitjacket the end of this year, and just a lot of random things. I want to start. I'm not bilingual at all. I would like to start picking up like a new language, things like that. I really enjoy taking my time and trying to do stuff like that. So when I read, sad to say, it's usually comic books these days. I have just this crazy amount of comic books in my queue that I'm looking at in my room right now, and it's intimidating to think it's the reason I don't read more of them at this point. So, and of course there is video games. Video games is my TV because at least that way I'm still interacting with it and it can hold my attention, and I really enjoy it. So,
did you have a favorite video game for 2014?
I think the easy answer is Shovel Knight. Love Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight was so good, and I grew up just loving Mega Man. Mega Man has always been one of my go-to games, and Shovel Knight reminded me of Mega Man a whole lot. They did a beautiful blend of Mega Man elements, of course, some Super Mario 3, and just a lot of platformers from that time, but there was a lot of good games in 2014. Don't get me wrong. I shouldn't be that quick to answer, but come on. That Shovel Knight was great.
Yeah, I've unfortunately not played it yet, but I will. I've heard great things. I know. I'm a terrible gamer. I used to play a lot more. Honestly, I only play my 3DS these days because I can play that on my commute to and from work. Like, my home consoles, by the time I get home, it's like, what time is it? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to go to bed because I feel exhausted,
I do get it.
And so, But so like my favorite game probably of this year is probably, well, I don't even know if it came out this year. It might have been last year. Was the newest Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS was perfect.
It was fun. It was I had never, to be honest with you, I had never played a Luigi's Mansion before the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got on that one, I actually hated it the first couple hours I put into it. I'm like, man, I do not get this game. It's kind of part of the problem. I don't know. But after I started to get it a little more and more, I started to enjoy it. I just was playing it in the wrong. If you're expecting Call of Duty and you jump into Luigi's Mansion, which I wasn't, but still.
Right, but if you're expecting one thing and you get another, it's
exactly. So I started to get it a little more. I did like it. But,
cool.
I'll tell you what, if you've never played Shovel Knight and you play your 3DS more, you need to pick up Shovel Knight on 3DS.
Oh, I didn't even know it was out on the 3DS. I thought it was only on PC.
It is. No, it's out. It's out on the 3DS. I think you can get it from the eShop for the Wii U and a couple other systems as well. But
cool.
Shovel Knight is one of those games. This has happened to me with a few games. I've actually bought that game 3 different times because I bought it on Steam, I bought it on a friend's Steam, and I bought it on my 3DS. And it is better on 3DS than on any other. It might be good on Wii U as well. But they really implement the touch screen, so it's kind of like playing Mega Man, but you could just switch to your different weapons by hitting the touch screen right below your actual screen, never having to pause. It's very fluid. It's amazing. Best way to play it. So.
All right. I'll have to, on your recommendation, I'll have to pick up Shovel Knight on my 3DS. I'll have to now also not only send you my Steam name, but I'll have to send you my 3DS friend and be Boys on 3DS as well, obviously.
All kinds of video game networking going on. I like
There you go. That's important to me to network with, to totally for professional reasons. It's not, just keep up preparing. Who the fuck am I kidding? It's so we can play games later. Come on now.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But have you always been in the area you're living in? So you live in North Carolina, right?
Yes, I do.
And so have you always been there? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, for the most part, it is where I grew up. I kind of bounced all over different sides of North Carolina when I was a little younger. I was actually born in Kentucky, but my parents lived there about 6 months. So other than the claim of saying I was born in Kentucky, it has nothing to do with me. I lived in North Carolina ever since then, and mainly in Charlotte. There was about a 5-year period where I moved to the coast of North Carolina and lived kind of on the southern end of the Outer Banks, a little lower than that. But yeah, I like North Carolina all right. I would like to explore a little bit, but I've been here my whole life so far.
And it sounds like there's a pretty decent music scene, just between what I see you and Phil post. You guys seem to do shows all over in the area. Does it have a big music scene for all kinds of music, or just certain kinds of music?
It definitely ranges in a very eclectic range of different sound, which is kind of beautiful. Something I hear from people when they come in here and they play like a big cross-genre show is they say, man, other places don't do this, where we have a rap act and then a hardcore act and then maybe a folk act, and they're really surprised by something that is kind of commonplace to some of us here in Charlotte, and that's kind of how it goes. In terms of, we do have a very talented music scene, and we have a very diverse music scene, and there's a lot of love between the genres, and even the fans that come out to see, perhaps one folk artist will go to a rap show the next night, and they're not so pigeonholed into only wanting to listen to that either, which is very refreshing. It's very nice. I really enjoy that. I would say, as far as fans, there are a lot of music fans that exist in Charlotte. I would say as many fans in the audience, there's probably just as many artists. And there's a lot of artist support all across the board in Charlotte, which is beautiful. Some of my favorite people are in folk groups, and they'll come out to see me rap when I rap and really enjoy it, and vice versa. And I like that a lot. It keeps everything really fresh, I feel like. And, nothing ever really is boring that way. So.
Well, I feel like also with music, if you just only like one kind of music, then you're pigeonholing yourself to not really experience, especially if you're an artist. Like, you can't just be in your genre. You need to be in other genres, because that's how some of the best fusions happen, when you pull from other places.
Absolutely. I cannot agree with that enough. I mean, if you keep going to the same sources and the same areas the whole time, in your brain and music and sounds, it's going to get stagnant. It's going to get stagnant fast, and it's not going to be something I want to listen to probably. So I really enjoy that. I enjoy, there's a lot of ideas that bounce around between artists in Charlotte from all genres, and I really like seeing that. So.
That's very cool. Going back to you for a bit and your new record that you're going to be working on, do you have a projected release date? Do you have any idea when it's going to come out?
I have a projected area of release. Definitely I want to shoot for the first quarter of this year.
Cool.
There's a chance that, it might come a little later. Like, I was looking at April, and it's funny, I just had a conversation with Mikal tonight about release dates, and I'm not trying to step on toes. I didn't know. We're both kind of looking around the same areas, in other words. So
sure.
It might shuffle up a little. But I took on, I don't want to say more than I could chew, because I'm chewing through it just fine. But I took on a lot more of a grandiose idea and project towards the tail end of last year with this album than I expected it to be. And so I kind of, set it back a little bit. Not like set it back as in terms of stopped working on it, but in terms of, okay, I'm trying to push to get this released, it became more of I'm going to push to refine these songs and to work on this while I'm working on some other areas. And part of that is I am in process of writing a comic that a friend of mine, Ryan Paul Hardison, who does an online comic called Slackmatic, to illustrate. And the idea kind of was born from some of these music videos I've made for Ninja Turtles stuff, both for this last mixtape, and then I did one a year and a half maybe before that for a song called Serious Face that was related to Ninja Turtles as well.
Sure.
Where I took, still comic book panels, and I did video motion over those to create somewhat of an animated effect to them, and just follow the song. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, why don't I get original artwork and do that over one of my songs? And so it's all original, it's all me, but it's the same kind of thought. And I got really excited by that, and that idea kind of snowballed into, well, if we're going to do this, why don't we hatch out a comic? So I'm working on a comic to go alongside the album, and the two are mildly related to one another. They're related in the way of, the album might be playing the soundtrack in the background of the comic, but other than that, they're not, the song doesn't tie in directly to what happens in the comic, nor does the comic actually tell anything about the music necessarily. But I'm really excited about it. I'm going to use the comic art for the album art. And, the whole project is called Rebirth, and it's a play on email replies, actually. It's RE:\birth. But kind of there's like a meaning behind that in the way that as many albums as I've released, I don't feel like I ever released my first rap album.
Right.
And I'm going to go back now and release my first rap album, and that's what this is going to be. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be good.
That sounds awesome. I mean, the thing about also that I love with a lot of nerdcore artists that I've noticed is the genre really allows you to play with the medium. And like this idea of releasing a comic side by side with an album that are tangentially related but can still exist on their own is kind of a really brilliant idea, because you give an overarching narrative that can be there, yet they can still exist on their own.
Totally. One thing I really wanted to avoid with this album was a narrative or a theme or a concept, because, that's kind of what I've done. And in a way, that's why I'm releasing an album called Rebirth that is, in my head, my first rap album, because I don't think I ever did that. Way back when me and Michael Kill did Entropy, and we first brought up that idea, originally that was an idea for an EP for me, and it kind of just grew as we worked on it. But I really wanted to just do a short story, about the world kind of going to hell in a handbasket from nuclear radiation, and and kind of about one person's deterioration through that, and that's what Entropy was. But as an introduction, as like a first album, it's probably not the way you want to announce yourself to the world, and it wasn't ever intended to be, but it did happen to be my first solo album that came out. So, thinking about things like that, and then I did Divine Gamble with Cecil Nick, and it wasn't conceptual in the same way, but it was very thematic. Every song related to the same kind of patchwork, the same kind of things. And a lot of it is mainly just because of the music itself. I heard Cecil Nick's beats, and they're very deep to me. And so it's hard for me. Like, I wrote one song over his beats about Spaceballs, and I felt guilty about it, because I'm like, this beat is a little, a little too deep for Spaceballs, but I'm going to go with it.
Right.
And that's where a lot of that comes from. But this next is going to be a nice blend where one song might not relate to the next song, and except for the fact that they're both songs, and I'm really looking forward to that and have a lot of fun with it. So.
I find that, that sounds amazing. And what I really like about that is it makes what I do as a podcaster, because besides the interview show that I've been doing for about a half a year now, I've also have a main show that I do weekly with two co-hosts where we review an album every week. And what happens when you review a lot of records is eventually theme and arc kind of blend together. There's some kind of narrative or story. But when the theme and arc are more musical and less here's a story, and more, well, the theme work is in how these beats are connected, what the through line of the sound is, that's a lot more fun to kind of dig up and figure out.
Absolutely. I feel like rappers that are just rappers and they're not a musician on any level tend to lose that sometimes, especially a rapper more like myself, which I like. This goes back to talking about influences or writing, but I like Mikal's writing style, whereas he is more, I would say, not necessarily vague, but you can take his lyrics and you can apply them to several different things. He's not very direct. I find I'm more direct with a lot of lyrics and just state things very plainly, like here's A, here's B, this is red, this is blue, and just, and I try to get away from that, but my natural writing style, that's what's going to come out from foremost. And I feel like rappers, on the music side of things, they hear themselves, they hear the voice, and they don't really think about those things in the music as much. But the music, that's the backbone, that's the whole point of it. It's music, after all. So it's all about the sound, and the voice is just an instrument therein. So you want to make it relevant, you want to make it forefront, but at the same time, you want the music to really carry it, because that's what it is, it's music. So,
yeah. Well said, Sulfur, well said.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm just a bow here. I don't know if you can see it.
I cannot. Unfortunately, in an audio medium, they cannot. But we do physical gags on our podcast all the time, mostly because it pisses off one of my co-hosts, because the audience can't see it. But, hey.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's great that it's always fun to get inside the head of an artist as far as figuring out how their process works. And the next thing I wanted to ask you was, so we're talking about the new record, and you're obviously currently working on it. When you put together a song for a record, any record, do you start with a set of lyrics and then kind of find a beat that fits? Do you make the beat first and then create the lyrics, or does it kind of go either way?
It actually goes either way, and I'll tell you how. Sometimes I'll sit down with no beat, and I'll have an idea, and I just start writing. It could happen in the car. I'm really notorious for swerving all over the road and using voice to text on a little messenger thing because I have an idea that I can't lose. It is better to put the fellow motorist in peril than it is to lose that lyric, which is horribly wrong. It's a bad joke. But usually what happens is I sit down with a beat and I let that beat take me somewhere. And usually it's the beat itself or the music itself that shapes what song I write. I hear certain things in my head alongside instrumentals once I listen to them long enough. We talked about the Christmas song, for instance, that I did over 93 to Infinity. I've heard 93 to Infinity as a song by Souls of Mischief a million times. So why I heard Christmas over it that morning, it was probably because it was Christmas Eve, I suppose. But I was like, man, this is perfect Christmas music. Like this is the kind of Christmas music I want to hear in malls instead of the shit that I actually normally hear.
Right.
So and that's how it hit me, and that's how a lot of my songs kind of go. That's why The Divine Gamble was such a conceptual album, serious, and that's where it came from, was these beats from Cecil Nick. That's what they were telling me. And I was like, I need to write this over it. So 80% of the time or more, that's what happens. And then there's that occasion where I just set out to write a song. But the problem I encounter when I do that is finding the right beat for that song.
Right.
It's always tough. So,
have you ever written a whole set of lyrics and then not been able to find a beat for it and had to put the lyrics on hold?
All the time. I mean, I've got entire songs just thrown in Google Drive or wherever, endless notepad files, endless, files on my computer. I still write in composition books occasionally, but I shy more and more from actually writing lyrics because when I write lyrics out, I can't read my own writing. It just gets really frustrating when it comes to rapping it. Anytime I write lyrics over at KHill's house, it is on a composition book, and we have to do at least 2 or 3 re-records because I can't read my own writing. So,
nice.
But yeah, to answer your question, yes, absolutely. I've got a ton of songs that just need beats.
So, but I mean, that must be fun also, like, if you've been struggling over a song for a while and you can't find the right beat and then you just hear something and it clicks, that moment of, like, perfect conception, that must always be a blast and exciting to come across.
Yes, Absolutely. I can tell you it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it is beautiful.
Do you have any big guest features lined up for this record? It's going to mostly just be you. I mean, I imagine Mr. kHill will make an appearance somewhere. That's a safe bet, I figure.
Absolutely. Mr. kHill will definitely make an appearance. He's also going to be making some of the beats. That might come as a huge shock to some of y'all, I know.
Oh, yeah, he never makes beats. What's that about?
I know. That guy.
He's gonna try this out, give it a shot.
Yeah, he's going to give it the old college try, see where it takes him.
The thing about Michael kHill that I just have to express is that I come across some of his songs and I get so angry that it works so well sometimes because I never imagined it. Like, so DuckTales is one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time, and I'm sure you know where this is going. When I first heard The Moon, and he was like, and he sampled, and that beat worked, and the lyrics, and it's just like he makes it a song about self-achievement, and he makes a joke about sampling the Beatles, and makes a great song with the DuckTales music. I'm just like, fuck you, where did this come from? Like,
I mean, that is his ish. I have heard him talk about that on stage, and it looks like he's about to get a tear in his eye. I mean, it's some serious stuff to kill, and like that he's great. That song is great. I want to say Vince Vandal did that beat.
I think he did, yeah. No, you might be right that he didn't actually make that beat, but still, it's just this concept and these ideas. And that's what I love about, like, with Serious Face Volume 2, it's such a different record from even the first Serious Face because your style and what you're throwing into the music, like, there's an evolution as you continue. And I like listening to an artist and going through his discography and hearing, oh, he's gotten better at this, or he has a better handle on that, or he's really working this. It's awesome to kind of go on that adventure. I mean, I discovered you through. I've of course heard you through a few of kHill's records sampled, but on the newest record that he released, the Snuggle is Real, the song you do with him on there, I was like, oh, this guy Sulfur, I've been hearing him everywhere. I got to go find his shit. And then when I found out that you did a Thor album, I'm like, all right, I'm sold. I'm done. I don't care what else he's done. It doesn't matter. You did a Thor album. I got to hear it. And like went down the wormhole after that, But it's incredible to get to talk to talented artists who clearly enjoy what they do, and ultimately at the end of the day they have this passion. Like listening to you talk about your new record and how much it really means to you in this comic tie-in and all of this stuff. It's inspiring to me as someone who just likes to listen to it and review and interview. It takes to that next level,
Oh, excellent, man. I'm glad to hear that. That makes me feel good and more pumped to go back in there and deal with this computer crashing while I record it some more.
Well, Sulfur, this has been awesome, and I really appreciate you taking the time to chat. The interview should be up, so I've got an episode I did with MC Lars that's coming out this coming Tuesday. So after 2 weeks after that, this episode will go up.
Excellent. I'm excited. Lars is a nice dude. Has he not?
Oh my God, was the nicest dude. I hung around for like an hour after his show and we recorded in his van. It's one of the first live interviews I'd done for the show. And he was just like, he kept thanking me for sticking around, and he was so humble, and we chatted for a half hour, even after he'd been performing all night. He's a really cool dude. I really enjoy him. And if he comes to your neck of the woods and you get to see him, his shows are fantastic. He knows how to get the crowds going.
Oh, I know. I played one show with Lars ways back, and I got to jump on a song when Eugene was touring with, or Adam Warrock was touring with MC Chris, and Lars was on that tour as well. But man, anytime I ran into Lars, I mean, he's always smiling, he's always nice, he's always happy. I can't think of a nicer guy. Like he is Rap's nice guy. So.
He is Rap's nice guy, and like he's emailed me several times going, "I'm stoked about the interview. Can't wait for it to go up." He's a good dude, so I'm excited to get that one out to the internet because he was a lot of fun to chat with. But this was awesome, man. And next time when you're in New York and Brooklyn, definitely look me up. I got an apartment. We got a fold out couch. If you need a place to crash, we'll play some games. Seriously, like next time you guys roll through, hook up with me, and I'd love to chat again in person maybe sometime.
That's very cool, man. I look forward to it. We'll play some Mortal Kombat and hate each other by the end of the night.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Sulfur, this has been a pleasure, and I will send you the episode when it goes live on the site, and definitely keep me posted on the new record's progress. I'd love to hear about it.
Oh, you can bet I will. I'll talk to you soon, Matt. You take care of yourself. Thank you.
You take care. Adios.
All right. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed these interviews, please subscribe to this and the Crash Chords podcast on iTunes, where you can also rate us and review us. You can also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Crash Chords Web, our Tumblr, and our YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post in the comment area below each post. And keep the discussion going, because remember, music is life, and life is good.